Madam President, you said yesterday that the election result represented a Russian special operation and was fraudulent. Was that a direct accusation that Russia falsified a Georgian election?
No, it's an accusation that the methodology used and the support of most probably Russian FSB types is shown in these elections because it was very sophisticated with use of multiple forms of frauds. That propaganda that was used before the elections was a clear duplicate, the same way as the Russian law that we had, the foreign agents law, duplicated the Russian law. In the same way, the propaganda was direct duplication, copy-paste of Russian clips and videos used at the time of Putin election. So, of course, you cannot prove anything, but the clear links that the ruling party has with Moscow, also demonstrated today by the very many messages of support that they have received, is what we have seen at work in this country.
Mm-hmm. The Monitor organization said that there were significant violations that may have impacted on the results, but they did not say clearly that the result had been falsified. I wonder, you spoke of falsification yesterday in your speech. What evidence you have of this, and would you be able to present it?
I don't have to present any evidence. I've received enough information from the local observing missions, and the international observers do not immediately see everything, and usually they come to conclusions much later on. This is only the initial conclusion, and I don't remember many examples when they immediately condemned or declared the non-legitimacy of elections. And the answer of one of these representatives of one of the electoral observation missions that the condemnation has to come from the Georgian people, I think is very right. They can observe irregularities. They see only part of what is happening. The full picture is only appearing to us. We see it through the results, but the full picture is appearing little by little, and the only judge on the fact whether the elections were legitimate or not is the Georgian people. It's not the foreign observer mission.
Mm-hmm. And you've called for protests tonight. Given that the government has announced its win, the Electoral Commission has announced its result, what is the aim of these protests? I mean, are we looking at some kind of revolution? Is that what is needed now? I mean, you know, we're talking about two parts of the state confronting each other here.
No, there is no two parts of the state. That's the point, that in this country, and that was the result of the elections, there are 70% of the people that want their European future, and 30%, and that appeared in all the opinion polls in the previous period, that approve of the orientation of the country. That's what we have. We've never had two halves of Georgia. Tonight is not a protest. It's the expression of the Georgian people that they put their votes, that they want to keep their European future, and that's what they voted for. That was a result of the exit polls, which were reversed in a matter of 1 hour. That was a result of those that could vote freely, which are our Georgians abroad, who gave to the European future a majority of 90%, 85% in all the capitals where we had precincts. But there too, the organization of these elections was led in such a way that everything was done to prevent our 1 million compatriots abroad to vote, because everybody knew that they were going to vote in favor of our European future.
So you're not talking about the ouster of the government and some kind of revolution?
I don't have to do. Did you see my role as a president and as the only one independent institution in this country is certainly not to destabilize the country, but it is to seek to protect the population, to let the population express its will and its opinion, and try to protect, with the support of our European and American friends, to protect the European way of Georgia, because what we are going to see otherwise is a ruling party implementing the pre-electoral program that they have announced very publicly, which is to arrest the opposition leaders, to suppress the civil society and the non-governmental organizations through the Russian law implementation, to put under control the media of the opposition. In other words, not only to have a one-party rule, but one-party dictatorship.
And as I understand, the Speaker from GD has already said that they will set the first session of the new Parliament with or without your approval. What happens now for the opposition? I mean, you're looking at a Parliament that is entirely GD dominated with no opposition MPs because they will all boycott. What happens now?
First of all, what happens is what we are going to see on the street tonight. Then I think that the opposition parties have their own strategy, which they will probably let me know, which I know partly could be that they will ask for new elections with the support of our European partners. Before that, they might ask for a thorough investigation of the alleged facts of the elections, more than what is yet out in the reports. It's for them to determine the future of the actions, but I don't see how those opposition parties could go into a parliament in which the ruling party is threatening them of being arrested the day after.
Mm-hmm. It seems likely to me that many of those who attend the protest tonight will see their aim as ousting the government from the streets, as happened in 2003. What would you say to those people?
I don't know that for the time being, this protest, and that's how it has been understood, as it was for the Russian law, it was to rescind the Russian law, and nobody at that time even tried to out the government. Here, too, the aim is to correct the elections that were stolen and to try to give back to the people their right to defend their own future and to express their votes. I don't think it goes anywhere further than that. The attempts to qualify it differently, now they're simply defending their constitutional rights. Nobody here is challenging the constitutional order of Georgia. That is not what I will support, and that is not what the people are out for, because you have to know that the Georgian population, and I think it was shown very well during the two episodes last year and this year of the protests against the Russian law, is very clear about the fact that we are in a very tense geopolitical environment and that we know that we do not want to produce destabilization. So I'm sure that this will be very peaceful, and that is just a support of the proposal or the demands that will be then presented by the opposition. Something else is if tomorrow, day after tomorrow, the ruling party starts implementing its threats and the arrests and other forms of repression that would deprive the people of their basic freedoms. That, I don't know what would be then the reaction. But clearly today, it's a legitimate protest and a peaceful protest.
Are you seeking a rerun of the elections in that case?
I am not seeking anything. It's the political parties that will have to design their strategy, and I think that it's one of the options that they are now considering.
Mm-hmm. And yet we've seen that Georgian Dream generally does not back down when faced with street protests, apart from in one or two cases. This situation seems likely only to get more tense and tense, no?
I don't know. I cannot predict the future. What I know is what the situation we are today. If the choice is between the resignation to see the elections stolen, and not only the elections, that means the European future of Georgia is stolen, and that will mean people departing Georgia, and that will mean a totally different type of regime. That will be also copy-paste of what you see in Moscow. I don't think that the Georgian population is ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
And so if this government stays in position, what does Georgia look like in 5 years?
I don't want to imagine that.
I see. And it is your, just to push you on this, it is your contention that Georgian Dream falsified the election and that they did not win 54% of the vote, and that in a free and fair election, the other side would have won.
Exactly. I can tell you exactly how much they won. They had more than 40%, and the pro-European forces at somewhere around 57%. The problem, 56, or I don't remember the exact, and that was what was in the exit polls. That is the same American company that conducted them in the previous elections and have never departed more than 2 or 3%. So we know exactly what are the terms of the election.
With respect, exit polls can be wrong.
Not to that point. Not to reverse by 15%. That doesn't happen.
And your contention is that 15% was added by voter intimidation? By what?
It's not my contention. It's being proven, and we'll have all the information. And by many different, the electronic vote was used, IDs were taken or stolen in different, money was paid directly outside of the voting precincts, public servants were put under pressure directly, and their families. What is it? The ethnic minorities were put under direct pressure and voted by 97% in some. I think that after Stalin times, nobody has seen that in any country.
And yet it's hard to demonstrate conclusively.
It's always very hard to demonstrate. No country has been able to demonstrate, not even the United States when there were Russian interferences in their elections, nor other European countries. So we are not going to be in the position to demonstrate more than countries that are much stronger to demonstrate the hybrid attacks that they are under. But what is important is not to demonstrate outside, is what the Georgian population knows, feels, and has seen, because who else can see more what is happening in the country, in the villages, than the Georgian population.
My final question then. It would seem that even if GD received, say, 40% of the vote, many Georgians who believe in EU integration still voted for Georgian Dream. What would you say to them?
Well, the 40% was probably with a normal fraud, and what I would say to them is what I told them before the elections, that I would be the president then of a democratic country in which there would have been a very democratic, strong opposition that would have worked with the other pro-European forces into making of this country one that we have not seen for a long time, which is a country with a multi-party government, with a coalition government, and working democratically in the parliament, which we have not seen either, to try to bring this country further down the road of progress and stability.
Madam President, thank you.
Thank you.